Hi. Tis I. I'll go look. I'll go look. Mhm. I did like the thief play on Skarmory to take the leftovers from the Corviknight. That was nice anticipation on Peach's part. Well, the Skarmory was eject button, and he used thief to get the leftovers from the Corviknight, which I thought was logical planning, right? He's probably going to get leftovers of Rocky Helmet from Corviknight. He knew he was going to be able to use the eject button to get momentum, so I thought that was crafty planning. Ultimately, it didn't work out for him, but I thought that was pretty smart. Yeah, there was a cheeky surf crit on Inteleon that caused the Scarf Kyurem to die, which I mean he was scarfed into surf, so it's questionable how much it was going to end up doing anyway. But this game, Inteleon was just so good. It seemed to be that every time it got in, something was going to take a big chunk or take a big hit. Um, it was a fun match. I enjoyed it from both sides. I thought both guys played it pretty well, and Deoncey's terrifying monster when he gets on the field and can work. But Breloom was always there to be able to scare it out because Yancey took some big chunks early. It was a good match, though. It was a good match. But it did eliminate Peach from playoff contention. He is not going to be in this season's playoffs. Yeah, it does. And, you know, Peach is a good coach. He's made it to a finals. Um, he's had good seasons. I think he's only ever missed playoffs once before. So, it's a competitive season. It's an uphill battle this season, and I think the fact that Peach is missing playoffs is a pretty strong statement to let you know that it's been uphill most of the way. Yeah, yeah. Moving on to match two. Static is still in playoff contention and needed a really big win here, and he got a huge, gigantic, unreasonable number win. I mean, he got 6 O's. and it wasn't even a 6-0 sweep. It was just a 6-0 absolute shellacking. Um, A- Aegis looked every bit of the top tier price that it warrants with a sub toxic and also an Ironhead that was doing crazy amounts of damage. The Araquanid got a big chunk off on Togekiss, but not as much as I thought it would be. It must have been a really bulky Togekiss. Embor with 3 kills. Embor, I believe, is second currently on the kill leader list. We can check that later if we want. But Embor's played unbelievably, but it's a great nuke, right? Embor's a fabulous nuke with a Reckless and Flare Blitz. It's really powerful, but good game by Static. Dirty Logic again is dedicated to the Spiritomb. He's bringing it week in, week out, and trying to do stuff with it. And there was a time in which that I think Spiritombs had some viability, but in the day and age where you've got fairies running around everywhere, and you've got Toxic is so prevalent with a lot of your non-fairy non-fairy mons. There's just ways around Spiritomb. I think when it was popular, when it first kind of started getting a lot of usage, maybe in Gen 5, maybe I don't know. It doesn't have that same viability now. But yet, Dirty Logic is committed to it, and it may be that he's just committed to a mon that doesn't function that well in this meta. Sure. Yeah. It's and I mean it is an E tier, so let's be fair, I guess. But it does seem like it's been dead weight more often than it's been helpful. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. There were a few really unfortunate things that happened, but also there was just a couple of like times where just I don't think Dirty Logic thought through. Let me give you an example. Turn 35. You saw Aegislash outspeed Paralyzed Togekiss, do an Iron Head for 79%. Togekiss had defogged that turn, right? So it's alive at like 7%. So turn 36, logically speaking, you know that at 79% was the amount of damage that was done, right? You're probably going to sack your Togekiss, right? Either you're sacking it or you're swapping it out. Um, on turn 36, Static substituted. And to me, probably the worst possible move would be to click Roost, which only gives it 50%, which means Ironhead is still going to kill. And that's what he chose to click. I mean, even just air slash to get chip on the substitute, maybe, or swap out in an attempt to preserve Togekiss. I don't know. I think the move that he clicked, being Roost, was the least likely opportunity to see any type of result. So yeah, there was some unfortunate things that may have happened, but also just maybe some plays that were pretty suboptimal. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that, because one of them has motivation to play where the other may not. But also, I think a fair thing to point out is that teams that are in playoff contention at this point in the season are not there by accident. And so, I do want to give credit to Static for, doing his job, man. It's your job to show up and beat your opponent, and he 6-0'd him. So, credit to Static for being in the playoff race, and he earned a big win. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say there. It was, turn one was Drake Result 100%ing Polytoad. Um, and that's fairly indicative of the rest of the match. Klefki got some hacks, which he deserves because Klefki has had plenty of good fortune this season. So glad to see it suffer a little bit. But I mean, otherwise, it was just, it was a one-sided beating, and that happens. Like that's happened to me. I'll never forget. I played a match where a guy led Clefable, and he clicked stored power. I think it is right on the first turn, whichever one. Cosmic power. Click cosmic power first turn, and I lost turn one. There was absolutely. I just guess I ignored it in prep. Um, and it seemed like in this particular match, it just TCP had it. He had it from turn one. Honestly, um, sometimes your matchups are rough. The agility Gliscor was so unbelievably good this week. And that was enough to throw Brett off his game and give TCP a huge edge. Yeah. But, unfortunate. But for Brett, though, I do want to say, he went, well, we'll see what happens next week. But, he took a season off, right? Or a couple seasons off, actually. And so he's not played bad, and he's got some big wins this season. I'm optimistic for next season. I think that he's got a shot next season to potentially produce his first winning season in the history of the ASL. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Conversely, in match four, we're going to talk about somebody who has no shot of winning record next season. That's you. I'm just playing, but yeah, we got your match versus Sarl here, and again another pretty handy defeat from a team in playoff contention versus a team that is not. Um, I mean, this is a hard one to legislate, right? It was a um, pretty severe beating, honestly. The V Create White Herb was pretty cool. It was pretty crafty. We don't know what the Crocodile was because of the attack, but there is decent odds I think that it was Scarf Moxie. So we don't know, but it was a fun match. I thought you played it well. I thought the Zera Aura could have been a problem had you not have brought maybe the stupid poison dragon Dragalge. That Zeraora could have potentially been much more of a problem this week than it was. Yeah, 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 yeah. It was the. I will comment that I love Yawn. I think Yawn's a great move. You brought Yawn on the Kangaskhan. Um, I think Yawn's such a fun way to cause momentum shifts. Um, I really enjoyed seeing that. That was a good move. That's one of my favorite moves. Yeah, yeah, like two of them. It did well. I thought it supported the team pretty well, and it didn't die until you were up 6-3. Yeah, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. The weakness policy, Lycanroc, that was pretty crafty. That was pretty crafty. Yeah, yeah. I thought that we were going to see an Accelerock kill Landers, and we were going to expect a Sceptile to outspeed. That's how I thought that play was fixing to turn out, but it turns out she didn't click it. So lucky you, maybe. Never know. Never know. Mhm. Yeah, no, Buzzwole drain punched my Seismitoad somewhere around turn 10 or so, probably. Hmm. Hmm. I did. It took a long time to get one. The first turn actually was exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted him to lead Cartana, and I wanted to take that item. I didn't really care how much it did because I was thinking he was going to be Choice Scarf, which could have been the more annoying set for my team. As long as I took the item, I knew that I could deal with Cartana. So I know that turn was big damage for him, but I was also very excited about that turn. I was very excited to get that item because Cartana's good, but Cartana without an item is not nearly as good. The Hippowdon, yeah, the crit definitely wasn't fun for him. I certainly appreciated it, but Hippowdon, I don't think had a great match this week. With I had Grass, a Watermon. Obviously Solar Beam comes on Charizard. Grass Knot with the Tapu Koko. Hippowdon really wasn't making it very far this week. It was just a matter of time until I got it. I got the crit early, so yeah, I'll take it. But it was sooner or later, right? Yeah. The Mon that caused me the most amount of concern from a switch-in standpoint was the Buzzwole. I was very excited to get an early Toxic on it because I knew that meant it wasn't going to make it too far. And then at some point, I think around turn 14, 15 maybe, I got Charizard in, and I was the fastest thing around, except for the Kartana, and I actually had max HP and some defense in Charizard to take a Giga Impact from Kartana, because I'd seen him use it earlier in the season. And otherwise, Charizard kind of walls Kartana, and I took it, and that allowed me to get the sweep I needed. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, as a coach, it's both satisfying and disappointing, right? Like, I think it's satisfying to win 6-0, but also, like, I put a lot of work into my Tapu Koko and Latios, and they never got to show up. So it's like I'm happy because I got the win and I got the result, but the competitor in me, like, I want to let my Mons play, bro. I know. It is like it's a weird thing because as a good coach, there's no incentive to share sets. Like, there's no reason why you logically would do that. But like as just someone who loves Mons, like I want to share like my Silvally steal from that match was 248 HP, 92 attack, 24 defense, 48 special attack, 96 spadef. They all had purposes. Like I want to share it and put it out there and show you what it was for and why it was cool. But there's no incentive for that. It doesn't, keep it in the background. Don't tell you what it is. And maybe at some point you won't know. Like I knew Gig Impact from Cortana. I knew it was coming. I prepped for it, and I took it on 3%. I would not have taken it without the investment that I had. So it is what it is. Am I up or you? I'm up. Oh gosh, this battle. I really don't want to talk about this battle. To be honest with you. This battle was good. It was competitive. It was back and forth. The Tornadus was solid. I know Hurricane is focus miss, right? I know that. But if he had Hurricane this week, it would have been so much better. Um, and he didn't run it, and I understand because it's nerve wracking to know that your game is reliant upon chance, and that is it sucks, but it would have been better if he had had a Hurricane. There were some turns in there. I thought potentially the Conkeldurr, if it had Facade, maybe could have facaded that Alamomola early game and might would have done enough. I don't know. But a lot of back and forth early on. The Weavile was really good this particular match. Conkeldurr had the opportunity to be really powerful, but I don't think it necessarily um, got to get out and get free. But the game really came down to Necrozma, which has historically, at least this season, been very poor. And he calm-minded on a Necrozma on a turn that we all came in. He was Colbur Berry, missed the Heat Wave. The next turn, Knockoff did not kill, missed a second Heat Wave back to back. Necrozma's fast enough it could have healed up on the Alamomola probably later on in the match, and who knows what would have happened from that point. But once the Necrozma went down after missing two consecutive heat waves, which are, only a 10% chance to miss, it once that happened, Ian stopped playing good. He started making some plays that were suboptimal, and it led to a relatively quick defeat at that point. And I think his head was in it. I think it was a competitive game. I think it was a brawl, and I think Ian had a chance to be 9-3 and have control of that second bye. But I think once the Necrozma fell out with the two heat wave misses, I think it shook him mentally, and he didn't play the way he needed to the rest of the way out. Even a sack, even just having a 3% sack in the background to where you can gain momentum is still a big coin. Yeah. Yeah. It was, but I mean, if you go back and you analyze that match turn for turn, um, Ian's competitive play took a big dip after those two. And that happens. He's already in playoffs, right? I mean, at eight wins, he's almost certainly guaranteed playoffs. There could be some shenanigans where I think if he lost like a 6-0 and somebody else won like a 6-0, maybe he would miss. I don't know, but by all logical accounts, he's made it into playoffs, and I think his concentration slipped. I really do. Yeah. Well, and it's probably, I'm sure more frustrating because my assumption is he calm-minded, anticipating that the Weavile would come in because he prepped the Colbur Berry, knowing that he could heat wave and kill it. It seemed to me as if he had a sequence in mind of how this was going to play. Um, so the first miss was frustrating, but the second miss, I'm sure, was devastating. Mhm. Yeah, Mons, man. Mhm. I mean, we haven't talked about this ahead of time, but I'm thinking next season we just change featured match to Malone's match this week. On purpose. Yeah. To interrupt you, go ahead, but just it just seems like he's always in these. Yeah, I don't know. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, something that if we were to give Malone advice, I mean, he's 3-9. He's not going to make playoffs. He's essentially playing for respect, playing to improve his craft, and thinking about season 12. If I could give Malone a piece of advice for season 12, I think what I would tell him is stop drafting Licky Licky. You continue to draft it, season in, season out. You draft it, and playing for you. I think the way that you want it to play for you. It's good, but it's so passive and it's so obvious what you're trying to do with it. Because in the past, you've used it where you've swords danced. You've swords danced, earthquaked maybe on, a week where it could have been wish, but it wasn't. And it seems like this season, you may do better off going and getting more assertive walls as opposed to walls that are really passive. Like Toxapex. Toxapex is a really weird mon, right? Because Toxapex has some use, toxic spikes and scald and haze and stuff like that, regenerator. But Toxapex allows almost every mon in the meta to swap in on it. So it's like, a good coach can use it, but um, it can be more of a detriment to your team than not if you don't know what you're doing with it. And I think Malone's maybe drafted Licky Licky so frequently to the point where he stopped mixing it up. Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely consider stepping away from that mon next season. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. 4. Yeah. Yeah, and Malone made a couple of plays that were really tricky, that played absolutely to his favor. If you look at, I can't tell you the turns right now, but there was a turn where he stayed in on Fortress versus Cinderace to rapid spin and took a high jump kick. Really cheeky prediction that could have cost him, but didn't. There was also a turn where he toxicked a Swampert with his Rhydon. Could have took a Scald, but he didn't. Um, so Malone managed to navigate some dangerous waters in this match to make plays that worked out for him. But it wasn't a given necessarily. There were some danger moments there where he took some gambles that absolutely could have ended up with him being on a 6-0 or or a 5-0. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It was a close one, and IO Kid played it okay. Unfortunately for IO Kid, this is no, it's not the end of the road. He could still potentially make playoffs. I was thinking 6-6 was out, but because of his differential, there is the potential for him to. He needs a lot of things to go right, a lot of things, but he could make playoffs still. So let's hold out some hope for him. Um, but this was a big loss. And good for Malone, right? He's playing a team that desperately needed to win, and Malone shut that down. So good for Malone. Yeah, yeah. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? But you play Lille, right? And so one of you two is not going to make it. One of you two is going to lose. Hopefully it's you, because that betters my odds at the bye week. May need to see what Lille's got going on prep so I can make sure he. No, I'm just playing. But I play Dravos, so I would like to win. That also would really put a damper on Dravos's plans if I was able to beat him. But I think it puts me in a decent spot. There's considering how good Lele's been, how good you've been this season. If I win, that puts me in a good position for potentially some nice things to happen for me. But then IL Kid plays Peach. Peach is out of the playoffs, unfortunately, but that's not a gimme. Those are two 6-6 teams and two very, very good coaches. That is certainly not a gimme. You got Melone and Shadow playing, so they're not going to interfere with any playoff races. You got TCP and Dirty Logic playing, so they're not interfering with any playoff races. And then you got, like I said, me and Treos. You got Ian and Static. So it seems like we've come down to week 13, and all the teams that need wins for playoff contention are playing each other. It's going to be absolutely wall to wall insanity. Sure. Mhm. for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you lose and I win, I get second place. There's no one else with my differential is going to be able to overtake it. You control your own destiny in terms of the bye week. I have a hard time seeing a world where, well, certainly you and I can't miss playoffs, but you know, Ian at 8-4 plus 7. If he's to lose a 6-0, he's going to be 8-5 at plus 1. That might be enough to get him by. I don't know, man. Certainly, IL Kid can't take the spot. IL Kid at 6-6 and plus 12. Dravos is 7-5. Plus 17. I'm gonna have to beat Dravos, and IL Kid's gonna have to win by a decent margin. So that's a very small window, but it could happen. It could happen. Static versus Ian's a crazy match. There's a lot on the line. You know what I mean? There's a lot on the line. And the thing I'm excited about, we've been doing this a long time, season 11. A lot of the times when you get to week 13, a lot of people don't have a lot to play for. Uh, I'm used to not having much to play for in week 13. Usually, playoffs are locked, and I'm either in a bye or I'm not. And so for me to have an incentive to go hard on week 13, I'm really excited about it personally. I can't wait. Draos has got a good roster, and he needs this win desperately. So I'm expecting a heck of a brawl. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They are, Lily's team specifically, like his Inteleon play has been unbelievable. Um, that being said, his Inteleon sets have been fairly predictable. So, yeah, as we get into, I mean, quite frankly, we're in playoff matches. This is week 13, but for a lot of teams, these are playoff matches. So, as the heat's up and teams are going to start producing their best level of play, it will be interesting to see, how people mix it up. You know what I mean? Because this is the time. You know what I mean? People run. I do it. I run some vanilla sets in certain weeks. So when we rematch, you know, I got some stuff in my pocket still. So who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be a show. But I do want to highlight the MVP leaderboard, just because as good a season as Klefke's had, everyone knows Klefke's season, right? 21-2, 11 games. Let's talk about that number two, 21-3, Imbor, but only in 7 games. Arguably better performance than Klefke. Mm, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, theoretically speaking, Imbor is supposed to go 1-1 every match, right? Imbor's supposed to nuke something, take 40-ish%, and then get killed. Like that's what Imbors do generally, and they do it very well. Imbor's one of the best nukes in the meta. But Shadow's not using it necessarily just to get a big chunk and drop. He's been preserving it and finding ways to allow it to be successful over and over again. And so While Klefki does have maybe the notoriety, 21-2, which is amazing. The fact that Embors went 21-3 in 4 less games, arguably more impressive. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, but that's always one of my favorite things about the ASL. Marowak's got 6 kills this season. You know what I mean? Toxic Croak's got 5 kills, man. And think about the Liepard pickup from Peach and how impactful that's been this season, and so on and so forth, man. There's just been a lot of really just kind of fun, at what I would call out of the ordinary. The Appleton play from IL Kid has been unbelievable, in my opinion. His Appleton play has been crazy good. I had way too little respect for Appleton. Uh, Bro, it's been untouchable, man. Mhm. Yeah. Uh, the Orbeetle's been really good, right? Orbeetle, the Turtonator. How many times have we talked about Turtonator this season? You know, there's just some things, man. That's some things about the ASL, the way we do our tiering structure, the way our coaches are accustomed to battling. I think it's you see some unique things that you wouldn't necessarily see everywhere else. Yeah, there you go. And I will say, just on a celebratory note, we did reach our 4-year anniversary on August 14th. The ASL has now been in session, if you will, for 4 years and a handful of days now. That's hard to think about, man. In 2016, I DM'd some weird looking loser that it's like, hey, you want to come start a crappy Pokemon League with me? And then here we are, man. 4 years later, um, our longest standing coach is, Melone, who's I don't still probably not high enough, old enough to see over the steering wheel. It's just what a wild ride it's been. What a wild ride it's been. Well, here's to another 4 years, man. We've made it this far, and we're still moving, and we're doing it better now than we did a year ago or 2 years ago. So here's to another 4. I did not. I did not. Yeah. I mean, I'll just say, can't wait to see Who makes the Melone match of the week in week 13? No, that's it.